Man, we are here in a beautiful studio in downtown Jacksonville. Currently, there's a storm of the century going on. I got my man, Falasaya. How we doing, my brother?
What's up,
bro? Good. This is really cool to be here. You're from Houston, correct? So you get here safe?
Yeah, we actually flew in a bit early to escape the Game of Thrones storm.
Well, we're here because we're celebrating a good friend of ours in the industry, Jacob and Courtney. It's their 20 year. And so while we're here, I don't really get to see you. I get to see you like maybe once a year at Engage. But we just collaborated on this amazing 6-year gift that we sent out to all the people we love, mostly all the people we love that we could. And so we've, seeing it come about has been cool, and talking with you and sharing like texts like, yo, this is crazy. And so now that we're in the same city, I figured it would be cool to just like kind of break down the journey of that and have a conversation with another brother in the industry, someone it inspires me creatively.
Likewise, man.
And so I figured we'd have a conversation, ask each other some questions, but really talk about the process of this whole thing. And so I think I first met you at Engage NOLA, was it?
Yep.
And I think, being honest, like you were like I was like, this man with the fire beard. Like I thought it was fake. I wanted to grab you. And then also, you and your wife, Dee Dee, was just like really nice, and you looked like me in a room full of people that, now New Orleans was a little bit. But meeting you there was like really cool because I saw someone that looked like me. But my number one question I'll start with is the number one question I have for you guys, because you guys are like in the room there. And I was like, man, how'd they get here? How'd you end up at that place, and being a stationary team and branding? Like, how'd you end up in a room like Engage and the journey up until that point?
Yeah, I think it just starts from delivering. It's a matter of excellence, right? When you excel, no matter what other variables exist, you put in the work and you show up and you deliver, it's unquestionable, right? And I think, at the end of the day, everything is built on relationships. If you start by knowing who you are, what you stand for, what you're trying to achieve, and then who you're for. And once you start putting that out, it's kind of what we do. It's branding, right? Once you put that out and people engage with it, people get to understand and learn that, wow, this is excellent. This is great.
So did you guys start with being like, how did that start? You guys started with branding and then you did stationery, and then because you guys seem like you do you literally have created the Engage app. Like the biggest wedding conference in the world uses something that you guys have created. Like, so you seem like you guys do a lot.
We do. That's the thing. Like the single thread is the branding. Everybody, everything is a brand, and it matters more in the luxury or premium space, right? Like, if you are mowing grass, you might not necessarily need to invest much in branding because you're not necessarily trying to compete on what makes you different or your unique position. It's more about, I'm the cheapest, or it's price, right? But so the core thread that goes through everything that we do is that it's all about branding. It's all about how do you intentionally design something that can be consistent, so that when people engage with it, they understand what makes it unique, what makes it different, what makes it special.
And that's what you guys are so brilliant at, which is why I called you for this. And it's like, I met you years ago, and I've had it in my back pocket. Like, one day I'm gonna call him and it's gonna be lit, and I'm gonna have the budget and the time and so because you're someone that you and Dee Dee like understand branding so much and storytelling and feeling. But why is that important in our world? You said it's not important in the lawn mowing world as much. There is still some importance, but why does it matter in this luxury space of weddings and events? Why do you think it matters so much?
Yeah, no, I think, you think about it. So there's different levels of branding, right? Like, as in, like, different things you can do in branding. There's the visual side of it, there's the verbal side of it. There's the experiential side of it. The reason at the core of it, why the different aspects matter is that, if you look at something that everybody automatically thinks is branding, the logo, right? We say like the logo is like the face of your brand, right?
Yeah.
If you walk into a room and you're looking for somebody, it's gonna be so much easier if you know what they look like already, right? Or if you know they always wear red. That's where color psychology comes in. You walk into the room and you're scanning the room for red, you can find them really quick, right? So these are the types of things that help you stand out when you're intentional about your branding,
Yeah.
And you know this because you've got a heck of a brand.
Thank you, man.
I mean, tell me about that. You guys are going on like what, 6 years?
6 years. Well, we already passed 6 years. We're like almost 6.5. Our official 6 year was like September of last year. In 5 years we did a 5-year party. We invited. Man, I wish I was tapped in with you. I made so many new friends in the last 2 years that I was like, oh my God, I wish. But we did a 5-year party. We invited 400 people to an airplane hangar in Naples, threw a sick party. All of our DJs went. And here, for me, it's always been like, there's millions of DJs in the world with DJ companies. My thing is like, what's different about us? What's unique about us? How do we make people feel? Because to me, that's where the luxury is. Like everything about luxury is feeling. Like if you really wanted to buy just a car, you just buy a regular Prius, right? But you want a car, I got the Defender because that makes me feel like I'm it, right? Like, so I got these shoes because it makes me feel something. Everything, when you spend money of value, it's because you felt something. And so for me, it's always about making people feel something. Our clients, and really, which is why we wanted to do this, is we want our vendors, our creative partners, the planners, the venues. One, we wanted to show that we appreciated them, but we also know that they are the reason why we keep getting business. Because they are the ones that reference us and tell the story about us when we're not in the room. And what we know is that your brand is also what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Absolutely.
And so it came from me wanting to throw another party, but we didn't. We just couldn't. So I was like, what experience can we create that still drives the point home that, like, one, we're on top of mind. Two, we want people to share it. It's like multifaceted. So when I called you, I was like, bro, I want to do this, like, so we got these pins is how it happened. And the pins said more energy. Like the idea of it came from, well, what's next? Everyone's always asking me, like all my friends are like, yo, what are you doing next? Like they're always waiting for me to do some crazy stuff. And I'm like, I don't know, like more. Like, more I don't know, more energy. And then, like it started to get like, someone on my team said, well, what do you mean by more energy? And I was like, oh, that's a good question. Like, what do we mean by more energy? So we had these pins, and then I was like, we were gonna send the pins out, just mail them. But we all, like, luxury is an experience.
Right.
So we wanted, it's not just the pins were great. It's not like they're super expensive. But like Virgil Abloh, rest in peace, said, we focus too much on the product and not the surrounding. Like if I take a trash can and I see it outside and I go, oh, it's a trash can. But if I take a trash can and I put it in a gallery and I put a rope around it, you're like, wow, that's art. Right? Think about opening up your AirPods or your MacBook. So to me, I wanted people to experience, and you kept saying that in our call. You're like, no, we got to put it in that brown box and put their name on it because it's the experience and how they open it and how they open it up the message. And then the biggest wow factor was that record, which we'll talk about. Like, and it's just a message. It's not like I gave them like a Versace bag or something, like I just gave them a pin, but the experience. So I'm always thinking about the experience. I DJ for a living. We have 25 DJs on our team. We create experiences every week. I wanted them to feel that same feeling. So that's where it came from. Is I want them to experience something,
Yeah, and in our conversation when you were talking about the whole concept behind the more energy, it was so cool. Like it painted such a vivid picture that we were like, okay, how do we bring what you just talked about into the physical, tangible space, And I think we. I want to go and look. I want to go and like break down. Let's go break down, because I wanted people to see the insanity that is what you guys did and how really you guys made it look so easy. And so we gotta go see that and see how that works out, man.
Yeah, man. So as I said, and I was so excited to call you with this idea. And when I had the pins, I knew I needed to create the experience. And I knew you guys were the ones. And so my question for you is like, when I called you and I told you my idea, like, what was the first thing going through your mind? How did you jump off from there? Because I just gave you a pin, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And the concept of, more energy. Like that's what 2026 is going to be about. Mm-hmm. You're like, hey, I'm starting this campaign, more energy campaign. And then obviously we know what you do as a brand. Like you bring the energy.
Yeah.
Like everybody that meets you, that knows you, mm-hmm. you glow. You bring energy. So and then we were like, okay, so how do we translate that into something that is, how do we build something around that pin that conveys what you do? Bringing the energy, bringing the music. It was interesting because you started, like I love the process because I started with this big idea. I wanted to like home run, knock it out of the park. So you're like, I got you. You came back and you had this sick idea. It was like, it was with the record. We had this just moving message in there because I had a message I wanted to convey. Again, it wasn't something I was giving that was gonna wow them with how expensive it was, but the meaning and the experience. The thoughtfulness.
And so you gave me like this proposal and quote with this big idea, and like look, man, this is the best we can do. This is the pricing, and then obviously that idea of like I wanted to send this to everyone. I wanted to send this to 400 people. This big box, I wanted to send to 400 people. And you're like, this is what it's gonna be. Yeah. But before I could even say it, you already had a second option.
Yeah.
You had this other option. I was like, hey, like maybe just send these to maybe the higher value planners that get you, and maybe send the smaller one to everyone else that you value, still shows that you value them.
Absolutely.
And that was so helpful for me because I was like, man, I didn't want to cheapen the experience, but still giving them an experience. How did you build it?
Because at the end of the day, our role is to help our clients stand out, right?
Yeah.
We work within constraints, and that's kind of part of luxury, is like how to make the most out of what you have, how to make it present as best as it can, while still making sure that we're not, just being opulent for no reason.
Right.
So ROI is important to us. The thinking then becomes, okay, what are we trying to achieve? How do we maximize this? How to get it in front of as many people as possible and still have that curated, custom feel for everybody, So even if you're not getting the big box, you're still getting something that's tailor-made for how we're trying to deliver it and what your experience for it is. That's why it's not just a box where it's just, you still have the gatefold that's creatively created, and the more energy is front and center. You've got the foiling on it that's making sure that it's lively, it's bright, it's tactile, right? And then you open it up and boom, the pin is right there in there, and it's got the message right in front of you. And we didn't write the message just straight, boring, no.
It went with it,
It's flowing with the logo, it's intentional.
Well, how many times, in our industry, a lot of planners get gifts. We all send gifts to each other, right? Maybe a basket, candle, whatever. And it could seem very generic. We sent gifts for a long time every year for Christmas, and it was just like very generic. And people wouldn't even repost it. People wouldn't even share it. It would just be like, thank you, like not even a thank you, because they know we sent it to a bunch of people. But this feels, everything about both of these feels like intentional.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the number one thing that people kept saying when they got it. It was like, bro, this is like thought through. Who the heck did these, right? Yeah. This feels like you thought more than 10 seconds about it.
Exactly, and we definitely did.
Well, because even how things feel when it opens, and then the opening here, and bro, you sent me so many different drafts of different things, and
we make sure we keep our partners. It's a collaboration. We want to make sure, because it's your brand. You know your brand, and we know how to execute on what your brand is. So we keep you in the loop, and we iterate. And then as we get ideas, like for example, like you were mentioning, having the message, so there are creative ways. How do you keep a small form factor but still deliver really
that's so brilliant. That was so brilliant.
And it's all like layers, right? So people are able to focus on each detail as you go through it, right? And that just kind of it's that intentional, hey, how are we trying to convey the message that we're trying to convey? How are people going to, what are they going to see first?
Yeah.
What's that going to make them feel?
Yeah.
You know? So you can imagine you're starting with the aesthetics people are seeing, the feel, and then once they've kind of digested that, they open this up, and then now they're in a space, they're curious to actually read, like, wow, what is this? What are we talking? What is going on?
What's happening? The first person to get it, because we mailed them out, and she lives right next door to me, Kelly McWilliams. She was just like, what the heck? You know, I just, every step of the way, because Kelly is someone that definitely values those experiences and stuff. Every step of the way she's talking about, then I opened it and I went to the QR code and there's a video and and I'm like, that's exactly what we wanted, you know?
Experience. It's a layered experience, and it's like a gift as you're unwrapping, you're discovering what's there.
Discovering.
You know? And you know, and then like you hold it, it's just the perfect heavy, because we spend a lot of time making sure everything just feels right, you know? Like, you don't want it too light, you don't want it too heavy, it's just gotta feel solid and premium and quality. You know, so you look at something like this, you know, nothing here feels cheap.
Nothing, it's heavy.
Right?
It feels like I bought a MacBook.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, so there's just that psychological feeling that people, it's not conscious.
Yeah. I heard there's a luxury person online who talks about weight and how weight is luxury.
Absolutely.
It's like crazy. I never thought about it.
It is, absolutely is. And all these little things, most people don't realize. Right? It's under the surface. It's subconscious. You know, but it's all part of what actually adds to that experience and makes them feel like, wow, this is amazing. This is solid, you know? And again, you know, in the design, more energy, front and center, right? The branding. Everybody's gonna know what this is all about. If there's one thing when you get this that you remember, it's more energy.
It's just funny, because all I gave you, bro, was a literal pin. You know, that.
And a dope pen, by the way, Didi has on a.
Hey man, it's pretty dope. But you took our brand colors, like you dove deep. Like, do you go and like, what's that process like of like going to find out about a brand, like deep diving? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, that's the absolute first thing, right? Because at the end of the day, that the brand is the messaging, right? Like it's like, what are we trying to convey? Right? And that has to be the starting point. And colors are super important. It's one of the most important things in branding.
So you believe in color theory and that?
There's a clear psychology to color, right? It has mood, memory, like across the board, it's super important to be consistent and intentional in the colors, and even just like how much of the colors you pick, right? How much pink are we gonna use versus the light pink versus, you know, the gold.
What made you use the red and gold?
Well, I mean, it pops. Like the things, so gold of course is premium, it's luxury. You know, that's always gonna, and then when you're talking about like the vibrance of it, like if people are in a well-lit area, it's just really gonna add that special touch. And then, you know, red is a passion thing, right? And we're talking about more energy. We're talking about people.
More passion, more energy. There's a song right? Like that.
You know? So, and then, you know, like we looked at your website, you know, and we took some inspirations from that because again, the QR code is going to your website. So there has to be that through line. It needs to be intentional. Everything needs
cohesive, consistent. It takes a lot of work to be cohesive and consistent constantly and go, this color doesn't match with this. And it's like picking out an outfit. You're like, okay, that has to match with that. It can't just, you know. But you guys killed it, man, at every level.
And then, you know, finishing it off with the envelope, everything, again, needs to be curated.
Well, we had a conversation about that where I was about to cheap out on putting their names printed, and you said, cool, we could just send it like that, but I think it's gonna really drive it home. And I was like, okay, and I love that. Allowed me to decide where I wanted to get off and where I wanted to hop back on the luxury train and that, you know, in that sense. And it was great. You know, there's some things where I wish I could have sent everyone these, but you know, with that, I think the split, and I was able to make a bigger impact by sending a lot more smaller ones, and then make a bigger impact with the 100 ones that we, you know. So it just, man, the brown packaging, like those are this is our our secondary color, and you got the brown box. That's our primary color. Like you just, you know, and then the tan is our
it's your
base, you know.
So and that's the thing. Like even on like the flap, you can see that this is like it's cut to the shape of your Curate logo, right? Yeah. You know, so it's like just the little details because again, it's custom.
Right.
It's made specifically for your brand,
right?
You know,
it's like when I go. I love Marriott. When I go to Marriott, and I'm an ambassador elite, and I walk in, and the TV says my name, and they have a gift for me that has my name. You know, it's like, okay, this is for me. Even though I know you're doing this for other people, this is special. Yeah, I'm cool. Yeah. You guys executed it so well, but I mean, I know this. You're big on the creative process, but I know you love what you do and you're good at what you do. But I know like you have a family and life and you have the idea of like working with your wife and you have kids and how do you balance all of that out? So I would love to like you take a walk over and maybe talk through a little bit about like how you even balance out creating stuff like this and managing the growth of your business and your family. So I would love to chat about that, man. So let's do it. Let's do it. Absolutely. You are Nigerian. You're my Nigerian brother. When I first met you, when two Nigerians meet, they ask for their names.
Yep.
And then the second question is always, are you Yoruba or Igbo?
Or Hausa.
It's a part of, right? It's like very interesting. Yeah. But tell me, where are you from originally?
Yoruba. So born in Ibadan. And you know, I actually stayed in Nigeria until I was like 8. And then, interestingly enough, I went to Saudi Arabia with my dad and my mom.
Yeah.
Because they're doctors and they got positioned there. And, you know, had the opportunity to travel different parts of the world from a young age. And I think that helps the creative, you know.
A lot of experience, see the world. It's not just one dimensional where you live.
You get to meet different cultures, you get to, you know, learn about different people, hear different languages, see different art, you know. And I think that kind of exposure it just helps.
Sure, you know? Absolutely. It's a part of like who you are. Like it's kind of put who you are into what you do for the most part.
Have you been back to Nigeria?
2013 is the last time I went, and I went in December. Before it was like real deady December. Like it was there, but it wasn't how it is now. It wasn't how it is now. And because I'm originally from Brooklyn, moved to Florida, and then but so I'm really Americanized.
Yeah.
Shoot, Brooklyn wouldn't even claim me at this point, so being married, my wife's Puerto Rican and Nicaraguan, and we have two and 5-year-olds. Yes. And then but you're married to your partner's also like your partner in business as well. Yeah. You guys are like, how does that work, and how did that start? Like, well, how did y'all meet first off?
We actually met at a political event. My sister hosted something and she attended. And it's funny because we had been in the same like circles for the longest. We just never crossed paths. We had the same friends, went to many of the same events. There was even a picture that we saw after we started dating that we literally sat on the same sofa. You know how like you're at an event and people are taking pictures and they just kind of get you all to sit down and they're like, oh, scoot together. And we were like almost next to each other. Yeah. And we didn't meet.
That's funny.
You know, and
it's crazy how that works.
But you know, when the time is right, the time is right, you know. And you know, I think
what's that process like working with her and being married? Is it hard?
It's great. You know, it's so funny for me, like when COVID happened and everybody had to work from home and be in their spouse's space like 24/7, and started complaining about it. We were like, what? That's like Tuesday for us.
That's what we do.
That's what we do, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But, I think if you can do it, there's nothing quite like it. Because, because, at the end of the day, if you gotta be friends as well as spouses, and if you guys don't know how to be around each other, actually like being around each other. I
don't know. Me and my wife dated for maybe a year before we got married. We got married right before 2 months before COVID happened, and then we had a baby 3 months after. So everything sped up, and we barely got to like do the dating friend thing. And so now, in the middle of us having kids and life and growing a business, we're in therapy, like, yo, like, hey, like still figuring each other out, you know? And we decided to not do the, you know, because she hops in the business, gives input, she makes it, she's the boss, big boss, right? But like, you know, it's just not the way we work. You know, I work with second shooters all the time who are for photo couples and stuff like that. Now, do you guys do the same thing? You guys, or does she have a specialty, you have a specialty when it comes to that?
So we collaborate on almost everything, but we also have our strengths, you know?
What is the different strengths that you guys have?
So I am very technical. I am very process oriented, and I'm a left brain, right brain, where I'm very artsy, but then I'm very technical. And she's very creative. She's got great ideas. She's very quick. Like, she can come up with stuff really fast. She gets ideas really fast. She's great at relationships. I'm more of the introvert. You know? People can't tell sometimes, because
yin and yang, right there.
But you know, so I think we vibe off each other really well, because you know, I can look at things from a technical perspective, and she can look at them from a creative relationship, experiential perspective, and we come out with something on the other side that's, you know, pretty fabulous.
So good. It's so good. And I mean, like, and then having kids at the same time. I know, like, I was just at Santa Barbara Engage, and I think, was it Lindsay? He did the whole thing on just like, you know, we have to miss so much, and we travel, and we have to give up, you know, time with our kids. And you guys were on that video. It's like a montage of different wedding pros talking about that, and you popped up, and you know, your kids were talking about you guys and how proud they were, and I love mommy and daddy, and seeing you guys talk about that, you know, how have you been able to find that balance, or if there's the boundaries between work and family, like?
Yeah, you know, I mean, for me, it's like, you have to, there's a time when you have to put more time into family, and a time when you put more time into business. You know, it's like, the balance is, there's no perfect balance. You know, people say work-life balance, and it's, I think it's a misnomer, because work is a part of life, you know? So it's really about, okay, what is your priority? What do things circle around? It's not necessarily sequential, it's understanding the priorities, you know? And, you know, when we were talking with Lindsay, I had, you know, kind of talked about how there was a study of how relationships are the most important thing when people look back at the end of their lives and say, okay, you know, when they categorize people as who was the happiest at the end of their life, it was the people that had good relationships.
That's good.
And your most important relationship is going to be, if you're spiritual, with God, right? And then with your family, right? And so for me, it's a matter of prioritizing what is my priority, what at the end of the day is the most important thing, and then acting on that. Right now, within within like your deadlines and things of that nature, then sure, sometimes you're like, okay, I gotta work.
Bro, we've had even the process of the more energy, we have like 5 conversations with my kids in the background, your kids in the background. Hey, what's up? Like literally, say what's up to Malik.
Exactly.
You know, and it's
true. You know, we get on a call, and you know, the kids are like, hey, can I say hi?
Those are the homies, man.
You know? And that's the thing, is like, but you set the expectations, just like with branding, where it's about intentionality, right? There's an important aspect of being predictable, right? So if your kids and the people that are involved in your life understand what the process is, and it's more predictable, then people can plan accordingly and know what to expect.
That's good.
You know?
Well, before we get out of here, man, as my fellow Nigerian brother, as a fellow black man in America, black man in the industry that we're in, I mean, you seem like you've navigated it really well. Has it been difficult? Have there been like times where you felt isolated, like what's been your journey up to this point? I think, because and it's not just that you are a Black business, it's that you are an excellent business. And at the same time, you're a Black man with a Black family. Like, how's that been for you? How's that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think, excellence is not a demographic, it's a standard, And I think if you present well, if you, again, everything in life is about expectations.
Right.
I think when people have certain expectations of certain types of people, a lot of it's driven by expectations, like assumptions. So where you need to defy those expectations and set new expectations, right?
I love that.
And, at the end of the day, good work is going to be in the room.
Good work is good work.
Yeah, it's going to speak for itself, And I think that's what it is. It's like, at the end of the day, because this, you're super successful in what you're doing. Like, I mean, like just the other day at the welcome party, somebody they complimented me and they thought I was you.
They thought that I got a nice beard.
I know. They're like, why he's got a beard, right? And so I know you're doing great stuff.
Thank you, man. Thank you,
and I mean, we were really honored to be just a part of that More Energy campaign, because it's just fantastic what you do. Like, I mean, tell me about that. Like, how as we kind of wrap this up, like, what was give me the full process of kind of like how this kind of started, how it went through, as we were making it, and then what the results have been.
Yeah. It's from the beginning of my time. I started off as like, no matter what I've done, I've been a teacher, I've been a youth pastor, I've been in branding and advertisement for a little bit, small, did web design for a little bit. I've been a rapper for fun and then went viral by accident. Like, I've done a lot of stuff, and no matter what I've done, I'm always telling a story, and I always want people to feel something. I walk into a room and I go, what is Rafit? What is Rafit? How can I influence the room? Before influencers were a thing, I felt like that's what I wanted to do. And so when it came to this 6-year thing, I wanted to stamp in time. I always think about a lot of what I do as like an album rollout, or like a Kanye West rollout album. Like, how does, I could tell you every single listening party that when Kanye dropped Life of Pablo, or when he dropped Yeezus, it was like this experience around it. And so I always think about branding and just myself and everything I'm doing as like I'm in a movie. And I have I romanticize everything I do. And I think that works out in what I do, because we're just in a romantic field. We're in branding's all about romanticizing what you do. Like, and so it happened again where I'm like, just, seeing the process of someone talking to someone that gets it. Like, I've rarely said anything to you. And then seeing the proofs, I'm like, he did, yes, this is all this. And then, seeing it get to my office and being like, yo, this is crazy. And my team, my staff seeing it and being like, yo, and there are moments where I'm like, man, I've spent a lot of money on this. Like, this is a pretty penny. But again, like, I know the ROI on this feeling, the experiences. And so seeing it finally get to like Kelly, the first one, and her being like, what? And then for the last 3 weeks, we've been owning social media. Like, it's been story, like, people are like, yo, how many you sent out? Because we're just reposting it. And so being able to create to create a wave, people being like people adding me, being like, yo, who are you? Like, how come I don't know you? How come I didn't get a dang box? And I was like, exactly. That's exactly what I wanted to create. FOMO, I wanted to create experience, I wanted to create chatter. But like, we don't ever get to do that physically anymore because it's all online. So I wanted to have like I got something, in the mail, And so, I mean, this is best case scenario. I think when you align with the right people, get your ideas clear who you are, clear what you want to do, find the right people to collaborate with, and it just turns out like something like this. And I'm super grateful. Like, I feel blessed that that I got to work with Oda, like that's a big deal, man. And so I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. This has been an honor. We'll do another one, because everyone's asking. I feel like everyone's asking, like, yo, who did this? And they see the logo on the back, they're like,
We've got a couple of people hitting us up. But I'm so stoked, like seeing the results of it, like the impact it's made. Like, we started off with a concept of what we wanted to achieve. I feel like we did that. I think
blew it out. Best case scenario, blew it out of the park, man. So thank you so much. Oh, I appreciate you. Oh man, thanks for watching. We out. Peace.